Let's keep our focus on law and accountability matters now, and we'll look at the Special Tribunal. It's a statutory body whose mandate is to recover public funds that are bled from the fiscus through corruption, fraud and illicit money flows following investigations by the SIU. The Concourt has now upheld its powers to adjudicate legal reviews while reiterating that the tribunal is not a court. It follows the appeal of the tribunal's decision on the now infamous PPE procurement scandal during the COVID-19 pandemic. Ledler Structural Development had approached the court to challenge the tribunal's powers after it found that millions of rands that it bagged from those contracts must be forfeited to the state. Kaiser Kganyago is the SIU spokesperson and joins us now. Kaiser, good evening to you and welcome. In a way, it's a victory, so just share your reaction to this week's Concourt ruling.
Good evening, Iman, and good evening to your viewers. We are very delighted as the SIU because you will remember that when this tribunal was set up in 2019, it was purely out of an act of the SIU Act, and that was to make sure that we expedite the matters and not have to queue with all the other cases in the High Court and all other courts. And therefore, for us to have this today where the Constitutional Court is able to say that it's all systems go, the tribunal has got the right to do what it is doing, is something that we are really excited about because we were in limbo for about 9 months so far waiting for this judgment.
So these interviews, Kaiser, are always a good opportunity to educate the public on exactly how the SIU and the tribunal work. Using the PPE scheme as a relevant case in point to any others that you want to, sketch the ecosystem of responsibilities they share to ultimately hold people financially accountable.
Yes, what happens is if you look at the act that we have, Iman, the act is called Special Investigating Units and Special Tribunal Act of 1996. Therefore, as early as that time, it was envisaged that when necessary, we can then create a tribunal which is headed by a judge, and in this case is headed by 8 judges, I mean. Therefore, those judges will then adjudicate the matters and be able to then, when we have got issues that we need adjudicated from, then we can go to the tribunal. It is only the SIU that can bring the matters to the special tribunal so that they can be adjudicated like in a normal court, even though they are saying it is not a court, but it is the court rules are being used and all the other parties are given an opportunity to give their side of the story and the judges will make the ruling. Therefore, there is independence between the tribunal and the SIU. The SIU will then be a party in a matter, and then the judges will then adjudicate and give a ruling. Therefore, there's separation between the two institutions.
You know, any day, Kaiser, there is a return of money from people who are found to have procured or have had access to that money illegally or through some fraudulent scheme is a day that we celebrate in South Africa. So given the affirmation of the Apex Court's opinion in terms of the power of the Special Tribunal, what does it mean in terms of this particular story, which really upset so many South Africans because it related to a vital, resource during the COVID-19 pandemic? Where does it leave Ledler the Ledler Structural Development in terms of the decision? Are they now forced to pay that money back that the court, the Special Tribunal, had decided it had to return?
Yes, definitely. We are now at a point where the tribunal had already ruled that the monies that were in their bank account and some of their properties will have to be taken to recover the monies. Therefore, because they then could not win on that part, they then started questioning the jurisdiction of the court, and they started questioning a lot of other powers that they say the tribunal doesn't have. And now it has been affirmed that the tribunal has those powers. Therefore, it means all the rulings that were made by the tribunal has to be implemented, and the new ones that are coming will also have to go. That is why when we issued the statement yesterday, we said all systems go.
Okay, so all systems go, but practically now share that picture with us, Kaiser. What happens now, and how does that money actually get returned?
Yes, in this particular instance, just to remind people, this is a matter of the PPEs in the Gauteng government, where Ledler was also colluding with Royal Baka at the time. and they were colluding to make money out of the Department of Health. Royal Baka had the contract. When they realized that the investigation is coming and it might affect them, then they exchanged that contract and gave it to Ledler, and then Ledler continued with the same contract without following any process. Therefore, we found that to be inappropriate, and we found that to be unlawful. And we went to the court, and that matter was set aside. We then got a forfeiture order against Ledler and the properties and the monies in their bank account. And then later on, we got a forfeiture order. Therefore, in this particular instance, the money in the bank account is now forfeited to the state, and we will move on and get that money, take it back to the Department of Health.
A great day then in terms of holding people actually financially accountable. Kaiser Kganyago, thanks for sharing what these developments mean and the ruling of the court means to the actual functions of the Special Tribunal. Kaiser speaks for the SIU.